what is going to be happening this month, what are some of the things that are coming through intuitively for me that I would like to share with you. And then we're going to discuss some of the most important transits that are happening, astrologically speaking, this month as well. So if you're here on this channel for the first time, thank you so much for being here. I hope that you will like what it is that I have to offer and that you will stay a while and subscribe to my channel. So the first thing I want to share with you guys is that before I do any of these videos, I meditate. And so the image that I saw in my meditation before I started this video was a room full of people in suits, like they were all in like business-like attire. And people were screaming at each other, except for nobody was really listening to each other. It was just a bunch of screaming that was happening. And it was in a big room filled with people. There's a lot of people there. So that's the first image that I got, which was obviously not a pleasant image, but you know, we're in some really difficult times that we're navigating. And there was a lot of differences that people are having. And so I wasn't really surprised that that was the first message that I was getting and the first image that I saw. And I very much correlated this to the Mercury retrograde, which is the highlight pretty much of this month. There's a lot of other highlights too, but the biggest highlight of this month is the Mercury retrograde. Now we have Mercury retrogrades every year, right? But this year we are having 3 retrogrades in air signs. And that is why this last one is going to be significant. And it is going to bring forth a lot of things that we were unaware of. Now let's take a look at Mercury in Libra. Mercury in Libra is a very intellectual, mind-driven energy. This is an energy where the mind wants to learn more and more and more and more because it's cardinal air. It is very initiating to the mind, and it wants to absorb as much information as it can, because that is the energy of Libra. It wants to initiate, it wants to just absorb as much information as it can. The second thing that's really important to remember with Mercury in Libra is that a lot of the themes can be social political issues that may come up to the surface, or some form of religion, or some form of, topics where we're taking a look at different methodologies or different religions or different sort of cultural impacts. This is what Libra engages itself in. This is what Mercury and Libra in particular, these are the themes that we could be taking a look at all throughout the month, except for we are in this place where we are reviewing issues that we were unaware of. If we take a look at any of the Mercury retrogrades, simply put, we are reviewing pieces of information. But what we're really doing during this Mercury retrograde in Libra is that we're reviewing pieces of information that may have been not portrayed in its truth, or may have not been portrayed in the way that it was supposed to. The other thing that sticks out to me with the Libra energy every single time is that we're taking a look at ideals. We're taking a look at a concept a lot of times, like an ideal that starts out as a concept. And so in Mercury, we're engaging in a conversation where we have so many different ideals that are being flooded into the conversation. And it is all derivative from our own cultural, traditional upbringing in a way. That is something that is keep coming up for me, especially when I had this image of the room full of people that were in suits that were just screaming at each other. Again, this is just an image that came through as part of what the energy is going to be like. I'm not talking about a specific event that will happen. I do not know. Ultimately, all of us, there's no way of knowing. But there is parts of us that can intuit some things that will be happening. And that's why I'm doing this video. I want to share those intuitions with you to engage in a conversation and see what it is that you guys are also seeing that, is coming up for you, or what you're experiencing, this month. And so I actually drew 3 cards to take a look at some of the energies that are going to be coming up with this Mercury retrograde in Libra. Now, the deck that I am pulling from, this deck is a very special deck to me. It's called the Universe Illusion. This is a deck that is created by someone in the Ukraine. And there's 150 cards in this deck. When I saw this, I was very drawn to it, and it's a lot of cards. So I shuffled these around for a good amount of time, and I just want to show you guys real quick what it is that came up here. So you're going to see 3 cards that fell out, and it's just images. It's just images that make you basically think or invoke a particular kind of emotion. And so this is what fell out. So the first card that we see right over here, this is a card where we're seeing a lot of hands pulling the steps out of that ladder. That's what we're seeing here. I want to come closer here to the camera so that you can see it. This is what we're seeing. Somebody's trying to climb up the ladder, and there's hands that are getting involved here and pulling out the next steps so the person can't climb up any further. So the first thing that came up here for me was, as we're trying to get further to truths during this month, we are going to have obstacles because there's people that will come or get in the way, or energetically there will be people that will get in the way of the truth. Why is that? Right? I don't know, but we will find out. We will find out at the end of this month. That's what I feel very strongly when I took a look at this image. And I want you guys to tell me what it is that you are seeing as well when you're taking a look at this image right over here. It's like this ladder that is going all the way up to the heavens, further up. And that's where we're going to be able to see things from a bigger perspective. But during this Mercury retrograde, we're going to discover that there's people or energies involved, or things that are involved here that are getting in the way from us to get to the top, to see down, to see the bigger picture that we so desperately need at this time. And this will have to do with the collective, okay? Just because I feel like when we take a look at this image, we see many hands involved. And so it could also be that there is a particular subject that will come up that will pertain to one person who plays a very big role. And this could be also a big role that is being played in the world. Okay, so this person could be a very important person. The second image that we're seeing, I really felt strongly that this will have to do with our personal lives for a majority of us. In our personal lives, we are in a very big review phase here. And this card is definitely correlated to that full moon that is going to be happening this month, because that full moon is going to be in the sign of Aries. It is going to be at 27 degrees. This is going to be a time where I feel very strongly that we are going to really commit now to our very own path. That's what is coming up for me. The first thing that I'm seeing here with this image is that up until like the end of October, we're still taking our time to figure out where our strength lies, because something is happening here that is impacting us from a global all the way to the personal level, that we are asking ourselves where our role is inside of this bigger picture that we're trying to get clarity on. We're trying to see it. And so here we see that a lot of us, of course, not all of us, but a lot of us are going to be in this place where we're going to be a lot closer to owning parts of our story to make us feel whole again, because she is spreading her arms up. As we can see, she's spreading her arms up, and the water is just going up with her, right? It's the rise of our very own conviction, our very own emotion that is coming up. The third card here is interesting to me because I feel like it is the outcome of this whole entire Mercury retrograde in Libra in this month. And what we see here is a girl laying on a bed, and she has the universe, and this little girl is looking at the universe, and what she's looking at is a tiny window that is being presented. And I think for a lot of us, we're going to start to realize that there is a window of opportunity at the end of this month. And it feels that a lot of us in the collective are going to feel the same way, because there is a split right now that's going on in the collective. And obviously we have to talk about that. Whereas like many different people have different opinions. There's a lot of this narrative that is being right now engaged in where we're being split. Some of us believe in certain things, some of us don't believe in certain things. And then there is many different subcategories and sub issues that are going on. And what I feel with this card right over here is that a lot of us are going to actually come together here to see the window of opportunity. There's a window of opportunity now that's going to be personal and it's also going to be collective. And this window of opportunity will require for us to remain present. We have to remain present in order to see it, because it is this opportunity right here and it will be taken. I see that it will be taken. You know, whatever the information is that we have received, we will take it, you know, and I see that this is going to be a very important phase at the end of this month. What we also see on top of her lap right over here is the squirrel. I feel like this is a squirrel, okay? And this squirrel, the squirrel, in my opinion, the spiritual meaning of a squirrel has a lot to do with gathering the resources. So a lot of you out there, I feel like you're going to be in a space where you're going to gather your resources, the things that you absolutely need in order for you to take on this opportunity. Whatever this opportunity is in your life, in order to take on this opportunity, you're going to gather all of your resources. So this is the first thing that I'm seeing about the Mercury retrograde in Libra. Now, the next thing I want to move on to is Venus, because Venus has been the highlight of September, and it will continue to be the highlight also somewhat moving into October and then also December, because there is going to be a Venus retrograde that is still going to be coming up. And right now, the phase that Venus is in, we are still processing emotional currencies in our relationships. We are. And there are things that we are trying to understand about our very own fulfillment in regards to relationships. But the phase that we're going into now, when Venus is leaving Scorpio and moving into Sagittarius, is that a lot of the relationship dynamics and what will happen within the relationships, it will be final. So if you were on the cusp about what relationships you're drawn to, what your own needs are, how to fulfill your life, because Venus doesn't necessarily always just talk about relationships. It's also about fulfillment. This is where we are going to, you know, really just make final cuts, or we're going to see things for what they are. But we're also going to see very strange behavior in people that are not necessarily wanting to stick to the truth of things. So there will be sort of an energetic escape in a way that will lead to people maybe being in a place where they're acting strange. So we're entering that phase. A lot of this is going to be still playing out in November as well and into December. But relationship building is not going to happen until we actually get to January. That's when we're going to be able to build upon our relationships. Up until then, we're still sort of in a purification phase. That's what I'm seeing. Now, the first 7 or 8 days of October, Venus is going to finish up its transit in Scorpio. So during that time, we're still going to kind of wrap our mind around what we're going to just draw the line on, where we're trusting ourselves now, where we're trusting, you know, future relationships, where we're trusting towards what we really need now at this time. And then Venus comes out of Scorpio and moves into Sagittarius. So I'm going to pull some cards in regards to what we see for what the oracle suggests here for the Venus in Sagittarius time that we're going to be entering for a majority of October. Wow, so here are the cards. 3 cards fell out. So the moment that Venus comes into Sagittarius, we're going to feel relief. But at the same time, a lot of us are understanding that we're navigating maybe a time that feels like a bit scary. We're trying to cross over to the other side. You can see here in this picture it's not the safest bridge that is leading from one side to the other. And then obviously there's water. Some of us are fearful of the height, and the height can really represent, just being in a place where, we've never done this before. We feel like we don't have a lot of grounding. We went from Venus in Scorpio, where it's at its root, to now Sagittarius, where we're becoming mutable fire within our needs. And we are having to make a bold step and take a risk here when it comes to our needs and our relationships. And this leads to sort of an emotion here, I feel, that has a lot to do with, allowing for ourselves to believe in a new direction. Honestly, can we believe in a new direction? Can we be in a place where we can actually believe that things can be different and that we can get onto the other side that we imagined when it comes to our fulfillment, a new type of fulfillment, right? We're always working on something new, but in particular for our relationships, that's what I'm seeing. I think the second thing here, the second card that we see here, this is really interesting because what we're seeing here is like Christmas. This reminds me of Christmas packaging, something about Christmas. So I feel like that this card really represents that it is not until Christmas that we're understanding. It says peace, joy, and hope, where things are leading next within our relationships, because up until then, we're still defining our worth. We're defining our worth. And some of us, it might sound a little strange what I'm saying, but you may need to reevaluate where you're spending your money as well. That is another thing that I'm seeing here with Venus and Sagittarius. There could be a lot of unconscious spending or something that could be happening here. And is this really something that you need at this time, that you think you need because it defines your worth? Maybe not. Maybe this is a time to hold things back and wait until you are spending your money. This is another thing that I'm seeing here. The third card is really interesting because it is two people that are kissing off in the distance, but then you see two glasses here where there's two people who are separated. They're all in their own place, and then there is a rose that is lying in between them. So this is about an ideal that we have. This is about what it is that we're on the search for, because some of our relationships are literally disconnected. They're disconnected. They're in a place where they're not allowing for us to grow. They're not, in a place of steady, slow growth, valuable growth. And right now, I think that we are absolutely evaluating where we feel like we're talking and it's just like no one can hear us through that glass. Nobody is here. Like there's something here where it's disconnected. And that rose that is lying in between them, the rose here, it's not connected to anything. It just is laying in between, where once there was love, there is no longer love. And are we actually dealing with that? Are we taking a look at the circumstances of our relationships? Are we taking a look at where, if you're not in a relationship, if this is not about relationships, this is a relationship to yourself. Okay, that is what we're taking a look at with Venus and Sagittarius. We're like on the hunt for something new. And it's okay to be in that space sometimes, but it also requires for us to get honest with where our love once was and where we want it to be in the future. And that's why we see that image of a couple there off into the distance. So this was really interesting too. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What do you see when you're taking a look at these images? Let's move on to the next transit. So the next thing that I want to talk about is the sun and the sun's transit. So there's two things that I'm seeing that are going to be fairly difficult, I think, for us to navigate. And the first thing is the sun is going to be conjunct Mercury and Mars. This is going to happen on October 9th. What's important to keep in mind with this is that Mercury is going to be still in the retrograde phase. And I think with Mars being in the mix here, this is going to be a time where a lot of our conversations could be a very impulsive way to communicate, and it could be in your face kind of a conversation. This is an energy that is not timid. This is in your face, very direct. There could also be sort of a lack to keep things in perspective during this time as well. So let's take a look at what the cards are suggesting for this particular week. Okay, the actual conjunction is going to happen October 9th. So what are some of the things that are going to come up here? So the first card that we're seeing is a image of a person here that is laying on the bed, kind of hunched over. Almost feels like this person is just exhausted. And what we see over here off into the distance is another person holding their hand on their head. So something just feels off during this time. That is the first thing that I'm picking up. Like something feels off, and there's disagreements here, there are challenges, and we may not necessarily know how to navigate it. The thing is that we do not know how to navigate it. That is the first thing that I'm seeing. The second image that we're seeing for this particular week is that a part of us understands that the image that we have built, this is not true for everybody, okay? I just want to say that. It's not true for everybody. But for some people who have had difficulty kind of coming to terms with an image that they've built up until this point, they will realize that it's meaningless in a way. There's something that isn't real, that is not allowing for them to connect to the divine, whatever you define as your divine. But a presence of God is missing. A presence of the divine is missing. That is what the second image for me is here. And can we open up to the possibility to build a different image that does not require this dress? And what is the dress representative for me? It is a particular lifestyle, it's a particular way and a particular image that doesn't allow for us to live free. So a lot of the not knowing will have a lot to do with what's actually happening behind the scenes. What the actual issues are that we haven't acknowledged. And wow, how interesting. The third image are a bunch of books that are holding each other up. And so now there's sort of like a scrambling that's happening for the truth, for understanding, for what the truth is. A lot of us will start to actually go back to a source, an important source, an important study, okay, an important piece of information. There is some kind of investigation that will have to happen at some level. Now, this is on a personal level. Let's talk about the global impact, okay? There's sort of like a global impact that is happening here. And I want to expand on this because I believe that this is directly correlated to the third most important thing I want to talk about in today's video, and that is when the sun in Libra is going to be squaring Pluto in Capricorn at 24 degrees. I believe that during this time, we're going to witness some kind of a power struggle, and this power struggle will have to do with the actual evidence, some kind of evidence here that needs to come up or will be presented in a global way. And it is going to send people into a place where we are going to really open up to the possibility that somebody else can take the lead. It's about somebody else taking the lead. Wow. Again, you guys, I'm just kind of intuiting what some of the meanings are of these transits. So this could happen in politics. This can happen in, affiliations or groups that you're a part of, but as a collective, we are going to be taking a look at the possibility of somebody else leading. There is a shift in some kind of rules and regulations. That is what I feel like that the books are about. What else is going to happen? Yep. We are going to be taking a look at some kind of situation that is going to feel a bit difficult to navigate. It feels cold. It feels disconnected. It feels like we might be in a place that we're disconnected, but essentially we need to allow for this to unfold, because a lot of this is going to become a lot more clear when the sun goes into Scorpio. Okay, but for that period when the sun is going to be squaring Pluto, this is when we are going to be exploring new options. It's just not going to feel cozy and warm and welcoming during that time, you know. The sun in Libra, it will have to do with, you know, important global even relationships. This is where Pluto will now be direct as well, and it will not stop until next year. So it's moving forward. And this is when we're going to be realizing that Pluto is now starting to really go to work. And there is a goal and a mission that Pluto has, in my opinion, and it has a lot to do with the truth. You know, it's not your truth. It's not, you know, my truth. It is the truth. And there is sort of this energy here with Pluto that it wants to come back to humility via the truth. And so this ice, you know, mountain here, the ice represents that. Might not be easy to deal with that truth or whatever is coming up during this time that has to do with a change of power. And so this next image, I'm not sure which way this image goes, maybe this way, it's this way. Okay, so a lot of us will have to just sort of be in a place where we may have to accept temporarily that we are not going to be able to see beyond. So there's like a not knowing and maybe a nervous energy here. Like we don't know exactly how things are going to play out. And why do we not know? Let's take a look at that, right? Let's pull a card for that. Why do we not know? Well, the outcome is some form of, you know, we see a wine glass that's full. We see the grapes. It's better than what we expected. Something about the wine glass and the grapes also is a representation that we just felt like maybe we were alone, or we felt like, you know, we were alone in believing in certain things, but really we're not, which is what the image over here is about as well, right? Not being able to see beyond the window or inside of what's going on, but we're not alone in it. That is what the offering of the wine, I feel like, has a lot to do with. We're like not alone in whatever it's happening. Like there's a lot more affiliations or people that are on the same page than we realized. And I think that is what I'm seeing here with the image of this wine glass. Last thing that I want to talk about is the full moon that is going to be happening on the 20th. This is going to be a full moon in Aries at 27 degrees. What I'm seeing for this full moon is a document, and this document is final. Something about the document is final. If you are in your personal life waiting for something to become final, this is where there's like a final, like no turn, you can't look back anymore. We're moving forward. That is what I'm seeing here. It's Aries, right? We're moving forward, and it has to do with relationship impacts as well. That's the first thing that I'm seeing when it comes to this full moon. But I want to pull cards and see what else the oracle is saying here in regards to what is going to be unfolding during this time. Now, if you're new to astrology, you know, full moons can be a accumulation of energy, an accumulation of energy. There is sort of a, you know, full circle type of energy that is coming up, something that we've been working towards since the beginning of the new moon or many other new moon cycles ago. It depends on what cycle we're taking a look at, but usually full moons have to do with, we're coming to a point of where we have to integrate what we've been working on, but first we have to kind of fulfill on what it is that we're trying to create here. So with this full moon in Aries, you know, we've been working towards really releasing parts of ourselves. Like, look at this card. We have been really trying to release things that we had not released before. Like there's a couple of different things that are coming up for me with this full moon. If you have been stuck, you're going to be unstuck. If you have been wanting to get something off your chest in regards to relationships, you're going to be doing that during the full moon. If you have been in a place where you have been trying to release pain, doubt, which if we think about it, Chiron is in Aries right now as well. It has a lot to do with building a new identity, but maybe we've been sort of in this place where we have been doubting whether we can become this new person or not. This is where we're releasing it. No more turning back. That is what I keep seeing here. No more turning back. The second image that we're seeing, wow, I just said that. We're seeing a document that's being signed, and wow, look at this. This image right over here. I'm literally mind blown, guys. I'm literally like, I can't believe that this card fell out. Like, it's a document and there's a hand that's attached to a tree and all eyes on this document, right? But this is sort of, there's a baby here too. This is sort of like something that's been going on, or a new rule that will come into place that has a lot to do with, we can finally, rest, or we can finally just move on from this. There is sort of, the eyes have a lot to do with, it's about protection. It'll have themes of protection. It'll have themes with like, this is new, and it's a new kind of set of rules, or a new future that is going to come out of this, just because of this, document. It'll change everything forever. And it's going to open up a very particular door for a lot of us that has never been open, but we've been wanting for this door to be there. After this, whatever this issue was that a lot of us have been working on, the emotions are going to be gone forever. Whatever the obstacle was, whatever the struggle was, whatever the emotions were that were not welcome after this, it will be easier in regards to this subject. Wow. I want to know what you guys think about this. What do you see inside of these, images? So that's all I have for today's. So that's a wrap on what I'm seeing for the month of October of 2021. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for being here. I really want to get to know you guys. Leave a comment below and subscribe to my channel so that we stay connected, and then you get notified. I put out weekly videos and I will be doing these monthlies. Let me know what you thought about this approach of the astrology with the tarot cards. What did you think about it? I'm here to serve you guys and bring you the best, the most important, intuitive messages, collective messages. So I want to hear from you. You can also follow me on my Instagram account at Uprise Astrology Podcast, where I put out just inspirational quotes and inspirational content that is related to the astrology as well. So be sure to check that out, and I will see you guys in the next video.